Hello everyone, I'm Maki. In the Universal Century universe, conflict never ends, and people continue to fight. Why does war never disappear from this world? Is it because the Earth's Federation government is lazy and corrupt? Or is it because Anaheim Electronics continues to profit from a military-driven economy? This time, we will unleash Mr. Yoshiyuki Tomino's idea that absolute peace is impossible to achieve. We will use High Streamer, a novel written by Tomino, as a reference. It is a story based on one of several original concepts for Shah's counterattack. There are passages that describe Tomino's views on the world. By analyzing this content, we may be able to find clues that help us to understand not only the world of the Universal Century, but also the stories of the alternative series. If you would like to support my channel, please consider joining the membership for just 99 cents per month. As a thank you, you will receive a name badge and comment stamps. Now, let's begin. Why do conflicts arise? In many stories, including the Gundam series, the concept of absolute peace is often portrayed as an ideal dreamed of by everyone. Let's take a look at Tomino's response to this idea. The idea that no dissatisfaction would arise in a state of absolute peace is a crude assumption. Human beings have a tendency to become lazy. This causes both the mind and body to become fatigued, and people begin to grow bored or fed up with things. Laziness can even lead to an unhealthy death. This cannot be considered a proper death. Such a state is not a peaceful way to live. A peaceful life is built on a proper death. It is a world where people can achieve a proper death. Perhaps a world like that could truly be called an ideal society. This is Tomino's vision of absolute peace. It is philosophical and difficult to understand. However, it could also be said that these words allow each reader to interpret them in their own way. This is how I interpreted Tomino's opinion. It isn't healthy for human beings to simply carry on with life. Absolute peace, a state with no conflict at all, may appear to be an ideal society at first. However, a state with no stimulation exhausts and corrupts the human mind, eventually resulting in an unhealthy death. This is only my personal interpretation. How did you interpret Tomino's words? Tomino's writing continues. Let's take a look. But that itself is the absolute ideal. People know that it cannot realistically be achieved. It is precisely the exceptional intelligence of such people that makes humanity unhappy. Human beings treasure their exceptional intelligence. However, this very trait creates a mind that can never be free from desire. Consequently, humanity is unable to achieve absolute peace. Human beings possess social and intellectual mechanisms that prevent them from achieving peace. This is Tomino's opinion. This is why war never disappears from the world of the Universal Century. It is not due to the dysfunction of the central government or the ideology of corporations seeking to monopoly profits. Tomino argues that the fundamental cause is humanity's exceptional intelligence. Even if the Earth's Federation government were to disappear, this trait would not. In Hathaway's Flash, Hathaway knows a sufferer. He laments, "Tell me how to destroy the depths of this system." These words are often interpreted as being directed at the current state of the Earth's Federation government. However, when we consider them alongside Tomino's recent statements, a new perspective emerges. Tomino also wrote Hathaway's words. Tomino continues. Let's take a look. In particular, desire has a structure similar to a black hole. It is extremely difficult to escape from such a structure. Even if someone wishes to act for the sake of others, that goal cannot be achieved unless there is someone in need of help. The very act of a human being having such a wish would be meaningless. In this case, some people may choose to live for the sake of self-discipline. Absolute peace is a state in which all desires have been fulfilled. Self-discipline for the sake of living would lose its meaning. Another idea is to improve oneself in order to live a better life rather than simply training one's abilities. But that too is a desire. If such desires are evil, then they must be destroyed. However, if desire is abandoned, so too is the will to improve oneself. Rather than abandoning desire, people unconsciously seek to improve and progress along the path of learning. This is because they seek something along that path and are dissatisfied with reality. So, let us suppose that absolute peace has been achieved. The question remains whether human beings could properly fulfill their lives without taking action. This is Tomino's opinion. Rather than presenting a clear conclusion, he concludes his argument by posing a question to his readers. He explains that desire is something that human beings cannot avoid. Desire can also cause conflict and fighting. However, intelligent desire is also the driving force that enables people to live their lives properly and fully. People seek absolute peace, but could an environment of absolute peace actually lead to the extinction of humanity? This is the question that Tomino presents to us. In the alternative series, each world offers its own response to Tomino's question. In GUNDAM, the solution is to abandon war and replace it with a new ritual known as the GUNDAM fight. Human desire cannot be eliminated. If that is the case, the idea is to incorporate conflict into the social structure and control it as rationally as possible. However, this method also creates many problems. The story then follows the protagonists as they confront these issues. In See Destiny, the Destiny Plan is presented as a means of addressing desire. However, the protagonists challenge this plan, arguing that it will destroy humanity. They also offer their own interpretation of desire. They explain that desire is not inherently evil, but can also be the driving force behind the desire to improve oneself and achieve a better life. The protagonist's argument is almost entirely consistent with Tomino's own view. In the GUNDAM 00 film, Lean's forms known as the elves appear. They do not feel hostility or hatred towards humanity. However, they act to ensure their survival as they face extinction. As a result, their actions end up causing a war. The desire to avoid extinction leads to war. The desire that Tomino talks about is a very difficult subject. Even he did not arrive at a clear answer. In the world of the universal century, conflicts rooted in desire will continue into the future. If you would like to, please share your thoughts as well. Thank you for watching until the end. I'll see you again in the next episode.